Say more about that. So like we're talking about the world, we're even potentially moving into the political space here. I know that's something you messaged me about before. So the sort of so what here, I think, is very interesting.
Yeah, the so what? Yeah, why? So why does embodiment matter? Why does it matter that I am that I live in a form that refuses to remain simply limited to my flesh? When my flesh is not the only Nita there is, when Nita in fact is a space of being, because attention is tactile, I'm not a specific, limited, just this little object of being, right? That mind and body, mind has, mind is not distinct from body in the sense that mind acts in the world. And if I walk into an environment with, and you raised the word intention. If I walk into an environment angry and dark and concentrated in my sensibility, I completely alter the space that I'm in. Not just because I'm gloomy, because people can see me, they can feel me. Mm. and that's not just happening with their eyes, is it? And so understanding our responsibility being two words, being, and I'm speaking from Karen Barad's inquiry, and she's a anthropologist, feminist, looking at science and looking very specifically at such things as quantum theory. But she speaks about our responsibility, this entangled state we are in with one another. And that entanglement is really critical to our work, to our being in the world and my work. I'm very interested in what is it that I do that can make this world a more lively, vital, and engaged place, and how does my presence really change what is possible? That's responsibility. Me, not just with the human world, but me with the non-human world, the world. And to do that, I have to understand I'm human and non-human. I am not, all parts of me are not human. If I look at myself on the scale of water, and I am what percentage water? I mean, a vast percentage of me is water. Then is water human? No, it's not. So really having an inquiry into what the human is, because that speaks profoundly to what it is possible for us to do in a world in which we are not separate and cleanly and clearly individuated. Individuation is highly overrated. Experiencing selfhood as a multiplicity is a profound action that comes from contact improvisation. From my work with contact improvisation, I can experience myself as many, which means that when I'm together with somebody else, that experience is simply enhanced. I easily move the boundaries of my being, easily and flexibly. Does that mean I have to stay there? Absolutely not. I need to be able to individuate, but I've done that. I did that years ago. It's not the only state I can live in.
It is interesting, isn't it, that practices of contact, whether they be dance practices, martial arts practices, anything, I think that's really interested in listening and connection, ultimately you realize the barriers of the self are slightly fuzzier than initially thought. And that can be,
yes,
that can be pretty profound for people when they start realizing that. And it doesn't have to be a profound sexual experience or some sort of mystical experience. It can become quite an ordinary everyday thing to realize that this is the case, as you say, that your mind is influencing things, that those barriers are not quite as solid as may have been presented to us.
Right, and in a world in crises, it is really seems to be significant and important for us to start to amplify our abilities to be present in a world that really needs us to act differently, to stop this stupidity of our individuation, because our individuation does make us stupid as physical beings. It makes us dull.
Yeah, this illusion of disconnection. Illusion of disconnection. And sometimes people ask me about why embodiment, why the Embodiment Conference, whatever. And I say, well, when we're connected to ourselves, when that's the first presence, right? We can actually really connect to others, connect to what we care about, connect to the planet. These things are connected, right? Like this is one almost synonym for embodiment is connection.
Yeah. So I have an institute that I developed a few years ago, 2016, called the Institute for the Study of Somatic Communication. We call it the ISSC. And the Institute is a network of dance ensembles, dancers who are researchers into that connection you're talking about. We work together as ensembles. In different cultures. It's an expanding network, so we're slowly but surely entering into other cultures. So we're in, right now we've got 2 ensembles in Germany, 1 in the UK, 1 happening in Spain, 1 happening in Denmark. We've got another happening in one that might happen in Italy eventually. They're just sprouting. And these are ensembles who right now we have, because of COVID, we have a virtual, what we call collaboratory. The ensembles are collaboratories. And we have a virtual collaboratory just about to start to study the speed of attention. Because if you want to communicate, you have to be able to understand not only the speed of your own attention, but the speed of the attention of the person that you're engaged with, or the person, thing, whatever you're engaged with. And an ability to change the speed of your attention is a really important skill. So looking at the skills involved.
The speed of intent, say more what you mean by that, the speed of attention. What does it mean?
The speed of attention?
Yeah.
So, in so many movement forms, people say that they want no mind, stop the mind. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of not what we want. That's actually, the mind is not the issue. It's the speed of your attention that's the issue. And if you are in a boat on a stream, right? The water's coming down, and you drop something outside of the boat, your hat falls off, it's in the water. The stream is moving at the same speed that you're moving at. If you're moving at the speed of the water, you can just reach out and pick it up, right? Because there is no friction happening between you and that boat. You're one action. If you stop the boat, or if you move faster or slower than the water, that's not the case. If thinking of the mind as that stream, if you are moving at the speed of your attention, of that motion, if you're moving, your attention is moving at the same speed as your physical body is moving, now you can't feel any mind. You simply don't, there's no friction there. The mind and the moment, the world you're in, your actions in the world are happening at the same speed. And it feels like no mind, but in fact, what you want is this incredible, expansive ability to be present to not only the water, but everything else that's going on. And that's what it feels like when people reach for that no mind place. Not stopping the mind, but catching up with it, moving at that speed. So it doesn't mean we move our bodies really, really fast. We have to learn to engage our attention to various speeds so that if I'm moving really, really slowly, I can be right in time with my action. I can move and be present in a depth of presence, a depth of awareness, and not be in what I would call chunky time. I would be thin slicing time. So having temporal skills is really important to being able to be in communion with the world. And communion is what I'm really interested in. How is it we can act in communion?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where does your passion come from? I've seen you light up a number of times in this interview and almost self-generated. I don't think I asked you any particularly good questions. So you just kind of have a passion clearly for it. Like I'm curious where your passion comes from.
Wow. That I can't quite say. I think it comes from realizing that there is so much to know that we don't know. I feel like I'm right at the edge of this profound awakening that I'm working terribly hard to know more. What's here? What's here? What's here? If you live a life of inquiry, and I've been blessed in that, thanks to contact improvisation, to be living a life of inquiry, then I am never without something to be fascinated about.
I'm really curious about a life of contact. You said it's been around 50 years. You were there at the start. You're clearly a young woman when you started, and it's an unusual life. We mentioned Steve Paxton. He's still dancing. I saw him dance in Portugal last year, actually, so I know he's still dancing.
He's gorgeous. It's so great.
Some of the senior people in the field, like Nancy Stark-Smith, you mentioned, passed away. I was booked in for a dance retreat with her this winter, but sadly that won't be happening. And you have had a life of contact, a life of dancing and doing workshops and inquiring and all these things we've talked about. How's that been?
Oh golly, I'm blessed, aren't I? I mean, I meet amazing, wonderful people. I am always interested to hear, how is it that people are understanding their worlds? I understand, by the way, I also am an NLP master practitioner coach. So I have that kind of, and that started in the early days of contact, by the way. That was an ability to reframe things, which was very important to studying, to inquiry. I think I have had the opportunity to never not be interested, never settle, never get bored, never understand and seek repetition. I really enjoy the flow. My teacher is, does it work in contact? Does it work with bodies? Does it work in relations? Does it work, and how does what's physical work in the emotional world? How does the emotional world influence the mental world? How does our mental world influence the emotional world, the embodied world? It's this extraordinary, for me, intertwining of perspectives. Where am I looking from this time? There's always a new perspective, and new perspective will give me a new information.
Listeners can't see this, but it's actually very interesting. I'd go to the YouTube channel and watch this one, because you'll do something in your body and then you'll have the word. It's very interesting. You were doing intertwining and your body was doing it, and then you were kind of like, oh, what's my, and then you started showing it and then it formed and then you said the word. As an interviewer, it's fascinating because most people are the other way around. They have a thought and then they do something with their hands to try and express it. Whereas it's like coming from the other direction. It's quite fascinating to see throughout the interview. But I guess a life of study. What's your vision then for the future? We're not done yet. So what's your vision?
Well, the vision is to give, it's a giveaway dance. I give away. My vision is, can I set this particular inquiry about attention, about presence into motion with ensembles so that we become a more responsible world altogether, not dominated by any one culture, but that we are in communication with one another in order to accomplish this really important work as a world.
Thank you for your body of work. Thank you for ongoing work. It's appreciated. I look forward to listening to your session at the conference, the Embodiment Conference. And yeah, I hope I get a chance to dance with you one day. I was booked into Freiburg to dance this year, and that didn't happen because of COVID and other things. So what do you know? It is what it is. Hey, practicing non-attachment this year for sure. Where do people find you? Like if they want to look you up, they want to read your stuff, they want to look at video, they want to meet up with you in real life even, where do they go?
Yeah, so as you probably have figured out, Mark, my website is under construction right now. And so is the ISSC website, by the way. So I'm working on 2 websites simultaneously. And I think the easiest way is to go to my Facebook page, Nita Relational Intelligence. It's my Facebook page. I'm teaching relational intelligence online on Wednesdays in the morning Pacific time. You can find out about it there at Nita Relational Intelligence. I will put things like the Embodiment Conference there when my session is happening. I'm very excited about that, Mark. What a marvelous project you have. It's really quite...
I'm deep in it at the moment. I'll tell you, it's right now. It's crazy. But we just launched the computer system, which means that we can sort of structure all the different speakers and have people find what they want and make some sense of the big mess that it could be otherwise. So having the technology in place now is really special, and it's an amazing thing to offer people in this time when we maybe can't, dance or get together in person.
Well, it's a great project, and it's great to really bring embodied, we talk about embodiment as if it were a single thing. It's not. There are many embodiments, and most people live diminished embodiments. And my job, let's figure out what the potentials are of embodiment, because I don't think we know them.
Right, so, just beginning, the silos are just starting to talk to each other. Like I meet people and they'll say, "Oh, who's Steve Paxton?" And I'm like, "Really? Okay," and they'll be embodiment people, So it's if we can break some of this down, we're getting it translated into a whole bunch of languages as well, so that we know available in Spanish, German, and Russian, all sorts of things. So some stuff that we can make global, maybe for the first time. So, do you have a closing message about the body, Nita? Just finish us off here. Closing message.
Well, yeah, I would say that the embodiment, whatever it is an ongoing inquiry. There is no conclusion. There is no point at which you've arrived at embodiment. It is something that is, because we are body minds, we are this constant expanding structure. We are also neuroplastic, which means we're an expanding structure in which our neurons are constantly changing. What we think we can be requires imagination, because the neurons are going to grow with that. Our neuronal potentials. You have to be able to envision it to do it. So the world as it exists is not enough.
The world is not enough. It's a James Bond film. I love it. I love it. I've loved your passion, your wisdom. I'm going to have to listen to this one back, because I think I didn't get everything the first. A bit tired today, so I want to listen to it back and understand it a bit deeper. And yeah, if I possibly can, I'll be at your session at the conference, Nita. So thank you so much for joining us.
Great, Mark. Thank you for this opportunity.